You're listening to Bigfoot Society, and I'm Jeremiah Byron. Tonight's story doesn't start in a swamp or truck cab. It starts beside a still mountain lake in Yosemite with a slingshot, a flashlight, and a pair of glowing red eyes. This isn't about a single encounter. It's a lifetime of moments, a tree that wasn't a tree, logs crashing against a car, and a creature that moved like it wasn't touching the ground. And through it all, one man was left asking, did something wake up in me that night? This is a story of Rudy Escobar, the boy who stood still when his cousins ran, so stay with us. All right, Bigfoot Society, we've got the privilege of talking to Rudy Escobar today. Rudy is an individual that we got connected to over on the YouTube side of things, I believe, if I remember correctly. And he's had some interesting things that have happened over the years. I believe we'll be starting around the Yosemite area. So welcome to the show, Rudy. How's it going, man?
Hey, Jeremiah. Thank you for having me. It's going pretty well.
Absolutely. You know, Yosemite is a place I've been to as well. It is a beautiful area, known for some weirdness as well. But we were talking before the recording started. We'll be going some interesting areas today. But, you know, I'm going to go ahead and feel free to take us back to, you know, when this first started for you, when you were back in Yosemite, as far back as we need to go. And we'll start from there.
Okay, so it was summer of 88, and I think it was like probably the end of July because we used to go camping before Hell Week started for football, so we'd go camping for 2 weeks to the mountains. The last night we were there, my cousins and I decided to go down to the lake. We were camping at a little, it's called Little Yosemite Valley or something like that. And there's a lake right there. It's right, you could see Half Dome. So on the last night, we went onto the lake. We were about 50 yards from the lake right there, real close. And we had a mag flashlight and a slingshot with us. So we decided to go check and see if we could see any animals drinking water, you know, possibly some deer or bear and stuff. So we're scanning the water edge on the other side, and we seen some red eyes. And I'm like, holy cow, look, there's a deer right there. And I said, and I told my cousin, oh, I'm going to shoot it with the slingshot. And he goes, go for it. So, you know, being the kids that we were, I was trying to shoot at it, which was kind of far away. I didn't hit it, I don't think. But then we noticed that it stood up. And my cousin goes, oh, look, why is the bear standing up? And I said, I don't know. And then it started walking. And when it started walking, it turned its head to look at us. And you could see these eyes were humongous. They were huge because I was trying to recall today, and it was pretty far to the other side of the lake. And if you could see their eyes, they were big, like reflectors, like everybody says in the show. And they were just bright red. And it started walking. We could tell it walked because the eyes were moving, and this was at night, so it's moving. But the weird part was, it was so smooth, like there was no bouncing to it or nothing. My cousins, you know, they got scared and they're like, Bigfoot, and they ran. And I stood there watching because I was like I was really intrigued. I was like, whoa, this is cool. And I just followed it, and then I don't remember where it disappeared, but it must have gone back up into the forest or something, because all of a sudden the eyes, like, they just turned off. So it must have turned its head and walked back up away from us, or from me. That's something that I've seen, and it's been like something that's been on my mind. Like, man, what did I see? It's like, is that really what I saw, like a Bigfoot, or is it like because I don't think a bear's gonna walk that far on his legs. And you know, I'm not that outdoorsy. I grew up in the city in LA, and so yeah, for us seeing that, or for me seeing that, it was kind of cool, you know. And but I've been into like Bigfoot ever since I was a kid. You know, watching the shows and the $6 Million Man and Boggy Creek, and so when I seen that, I was like, "Whoa, that was that was trippy." And since then, it's just been and I finally started listening to the shows and stuff, and now it makes sense. It's like, okay, and so yeah, so I guess what I'm trying to do is trying to find answers and stuff, you know.
Oh, absolutely. Rudy, that's such an interesting first encounter. I do have a few questions, if you don't mind.
Yeah, go for it.
Awesome. So just to clarify for me, when you had this sighting, you were just seeing the red eyes in the dark, or were you able to actually see the silhouette as well?
No, so this whatever I seen was drinking water, so it must have been on all fours or something, drinking water at the from the lake. And all we saw were the eyes. That's it. There was just some bright red eyes. Like, it was actually a red that I've never seen again. Kind of like, oh, you know what? It might remind me of, like, it reminded me of like candy apple red eyes, like candy apple, like the color candy apple. That's how bright they were.
Gotcha. When it stood up, how high off or how far off the ground would you approximate that the eyes were?
So that's the crazy part, because when we saw it going up, we were like, whoa, you know, it was probably about, I want to say about 9 feet, 8 to 9 feet off the ground, because it looked like an elevator going up, honestly.
How quick did those eyes move from being down on ground level to up to around 9 feet tall?
It was it happened like in an instant.
Mm.
It was pretty quick. It was probably, I want to say, maybe if I had a count, it was probably like 3 seconds.
Okay. Interesting. So when you shot, so you had the slingshot. Were you what were you using for ammo for that?
Just rocks.
Okay.
We're just using like whatever rock we could find on the ground. And I mean, I don't think we came close to it because we didn't hear we didn't hear a roar, we didn't hear like a growl or nothing like that. I'm sure we fell way short. But, you know, being kids or teenagers, we're like, hey, let's shoot the deers.
Right.
Because we thought it was a deer.
Yeah, not that either of us are saying that's okay to do, but it is a thing that kids and that, you know, kids will do things like that. Right. So there was no sound of impact like you had hit anything then?
No, not at all.
Okay. Was there any weird smell around that time that you noticed?
You know what? It was the only smells I could smell were the bonfires from the from the campsites, and there wasn't that many bonfires at night, because I remember it was our bonfire we had going, and then we had the lanterns on, and then there was a couple more other people like around us, and it was like 11 o'clock at night. And then when we saw it, my cousins ran, and I stood there like you know, just watching because I was like intrigued. But yeah, there was no smells, like there was no smell like people describe it. No.
Absolutely. Were there any sounds of the forest around as well?
You know what? That's the one thing that there wasn't. Usually, like, you could hear woodpeckers at night and stuff like that, and the crickets, and or the frogs, but you couldn't hear nothing. That's what we thought was weird. We were like, hey, maybe they got quiet because we came to the water's edge, and but yeah, there was no sound.
You mentioned there's a part where you kind of You felt like it had turned its head and looked at you. How were you able to tell that it probably turned its head at that time?
Because when it stood up, when it first stood up, you could see the eyes go up because it was facing, like, it was facing our way. It was kind of like diagonal. And then it started walking, and then I seen the eyes like I saw the eyes kind of like look forward, like look away, and then they turned back, and they got really bright again. And I was like, whoa. And that's how I'm assuming that's how what it did, because I remember seeing the eyes again, like really bright. And I was like, and it kind of reminds me of like in the special forces movies when they're wearing their night vision goggles, and they have like the red lenses. That's what it looked like.
Gotcha. That's really, really interesting. You mentioned that, so you were able to watch it walk away. It was very smooth. Was there anything that could have told you how far or how wide the steps were, its gait was when it was walking away?
The only thing that I can gauge from is like from where it started to where it disappeared. It was like a matter of seconds. It was probably like 5 to 6 seconds. So it just looked like it was floating, and like there was no bounce to it. You know how like when humans walk, we have kind of a bounce to our step. This thing was just like smooth. Like it looked like it was like on the like on the people mover, like when you go to the airport and you stand on that thing.
Oh yeah.
Like that. That's what it looked like. I was like, whoa. And then it just disappeared.
Yeah, that's actually that's a really cool way to put it. That really puts a picture into your mind. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, and then the funny thing is, afterward, I walked back to the campsite and I sat down, and my uncle I was there with, he was like, why did the boys run into the tent like the way they did? I said, I don't know. We saw something with red eyes walking over there. He goes, oh, you big sissy. It was probably just a bear. And I was like, no, this thing stood up. He goes like, ha, you saw Bigfoot. I'm like, you think? He goes, no, he doesn't exist. I said, oh, okay, cool.
That's funny. Do you and your cousins still talk about that?
No, we don't, because we don't talk to each other anymore.
Oh, gotcha. It's very interesting. Did it, at any point any rangers or anything come into the picture, or when you heard, hey, it doesn't exist, you were just like, okay, it's out of my mind forever?
Yeah, it was out of my mind forever, and then but I always remember it like I could close my eyes and see it in my dreams and stuff. I could see it.
Okay, so that's really interesting. So how soon after that experience did those start to happen?
Well, obviously that night I had a nightmare about it, but then it would come and go, like all through high school. I would have them, and then I forgot about them. And then it wasn't until I started watching Finding Bigfoot when it came back to me, like, oh, I was like, wait a minute, I seen something, I think. So it had gone out of my mind for a while, and then it came back.
Sure. And when you were having those dreams, was it just you replaying what had happened exactly, or were they different in any way?
No, they were different. I was getting chased in my dream.
Okay.
Yeah, I was getting chased. It wasn't a fun dream.
Yeah, I would imagine not. And that was a reoccurring dream as well.
Yeah, that was a reoccurring. Or like I was afraid to go to sleep sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely. Do those still happen to this day, or did they stop after a while?
It happened not too long ago where I was dreaming that uh, I was up in the so somewhere in up in the mountains, and I got attacked by two Bigfoot. They were throwing logs at me and my car, and they flipped me over. Yeah.
Has this affected you going out into the woods camping at all, or do you still go out still?
No, I haven't gone camping in a long time since you have to make reservations now.
Yeah.
But my son and I have gone like day camping up right here to the San Bernardino Mountains, and we go out and he does his whoops and his calls because he likes that, and he goes, "Hey, Dad, do you think we'll see something?" I'm like, "No, I don't think so." I said, "But you never know."
Okay, so your son knows your story as well then.
Oh yeah, he loves it because when I showed him the email yesterday, he was all excited. He goes, "Dad, can I stay home from school?" I'm like, "No, dude."
That's awesome. Oh, that's awesome. You had also mentioned that there was another time where you think there's a possibility you may have had something happen as well.
Yeah, so this was like in Sequoia at Dorst Camp, and it was probably like around 1982. I was a junior high. We went camping, and I had gone out for a walk into just following a trail down, and it was a real nice trail actually, with like a lot of greenery and stuff like that, and a lot of and I started walking, and then I started getting this feeling like, man, I'm gonna go back to the camp now because I felt weird, like the hairs on my back of my neck started standing up, and I was like, huh, why is that happening, And then I remember walking, and I looked to my right, and I stopped, and I was like, man, that's a weird tree that's right there, and because this whatever I saw, it blended in with the tree because it was kind of like a caramel color, I want to say, and I just remember seeing like I thought the tree looked weird because like the hang was on the tree, and he just had his head out, and I could see like the black face, and I was like, but I couldn't, and it was a quick sighting, like real quick, and I was like, oh, what was that? But I thought it was part of the tree. I'm like, oh, maybe it's like the burnt part of a tree, like when the tree gets burnt or something. But it was like, no, it's too weird. Yeah, that's I can't really like recall that one that too much, but I just remember seeing something.
That's really interesting because that is a thing that keeps coming up on the show is people they'll see something really quick that usually has something to do with a tree.
Yeah,
it kind of looks like a Bigfoot as well. So just to clarify for me, so you saw this tree, but there was also something next to it that was kind of, was it almost like trying to camouflage itself into the tree, or?
Yeah, so it looked like it was part of it, and it just like it had its head like speaking out like sideways, and it was kind of like holding itself with his hand so it wouldn't fall down, I guess, or something. Yeah. So, and I was like, I looked to the right, and I'm like, huh, that's weird. And I stopped to look, and then I was like, and I thought it was part of a tree, like when there's a hollow part in the tree and it looks dark. And I was like, oh, maybe it has a hole in the tree, and that's where I'll sleep or something. I don't know. Yeah. So, and then I just let it go because I didn't think much of it, and I just went back to camp, and I didn't tell anybody.
Okay, wow. So then did you just kept walking away from it, like it didn't just disappear or anything like that?
Yeah. I I just kept going. Like I stopped and I looked, and I was looking, and I'm like, oh man, that's kind of weird. Like, I was kind of like I was kind of like shocked, I guess, because and then after that I was like, oh, okay, cool, and I walked away. Because I was like, but after that I didn't hear no. I don't recall hearing no. Like how people say that they'll walk next to you and stuff like that. I didn't hear that or nothing, or maybe I wasn't listening, but I was maybe about quarter of a mile away from where I was at to the camp, and I was walking uphill, and I was just like, just like replaying it in my head, like what was that? So I was kind of like, like trying to like recall what it was, and I was like, yeah. So that one was kind of weird.
Oh, that's extremely weird. How far away from you was that tree?
I think I want to say it was about probably 30 yards.
Okay.
Because it wasn't that far. Yeah, it wasn't that far. Wow.
Yeah, that is extremely, extremely weird. That kind of thing really, really makes you wonder. It's like you see just enough of something, but then you kind of keep going. Have you ever thought about what would happen if you hadn't kept going?
I think it would have. I think it would have came out eventually, maybe, because I was by myself and I was in junior high. I mean, I've always been a big kid. I'm almost 6 foot tall. And I think it would have came out, and yeah, I would have probably crapped my pants and ran.
Right.
Right. But yeah, and it does go across my mind like it would have came after me and got me, or I don't know, but it just like I just kept walking. It's just kind of weird.
When you got back to the group, did you share what had happened?
Oh no, because I grew up in Lincoln Heights, right there. It's near Dodger Stadium.
Okay.
And being a kid from the ghetto, you don't tell people that, because then they're gonna call you like you're crazy and this and that, and my buddies would have rode me hard. So no, I just kept it to myself, and I was like, but like one of my friends was asking me like, "What's wrong?" I'm like, "Oh, nothing." "Oh, what happened? Did you see a bear?" I'm like, "Yeah, I saw a bear." "Oh, cool. What did it look like?" I'm like a bear, but because I was still kind of like with that confused look on my face, I guess. And that's when my buddy asked me like what's wrong? So, and I said, "Oh, I think I saw a bear."
What year do you think this was that this happened in?
So this is probably like around 1982, because I was a 7th grader in junior high.
Okay, so did this actually happen before the Yosemite thing then?
Yeah, that was before Yosemite, and then Yosemite was in 88.
Yeah, okay. Okay, so your first interaction would have been seeing something in this area of the Sequoias. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, gotcha. You also had mentioned that there's a little bit of audio that's coming in from the background.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm moving.
You got it. No problem. Thanks. Awesome.
Okay, I'm good.
Good stuff. Thank you. So we had been talking before the recording that you've also had at least one other weird thing happen that could be, I'd say, classified as high strangeness. Maybe not so much Bigfoot related, but you have had a sighting of lights or an orb at one time?
Yeah, I did. This was like in 2000. 2002. I just came back from going out with my friends partying, and I was walking into my house, and we had a tri-level house. So downstairs was you walked into the second level, and downstairs was like the family room. So I heard like some rustling going around in downstairs, and we lived by the hills. So I said, "Man, a rat got in there." So I went and I got my pellet rifle because I was going to shoot it. And I was walking down the stairs. I just saw this thing, like it went in front of me, and it was floating. It was like up and down, and it looked like this, like I want to say the size of a. It was like the size of a cantaloupe, and it was just floating like this. And I looked at it for like probably like 2 seconds, and then it just went. Zoop. It went in, and we had a wall. You know, there was a door that went into the laundry room. It was like an ADU, and it just went through the door. It was closed, and it went through there, and that tripped me out. I was like, I know I'm not drunk because I didn't drink tonight because I was driving. So yeah, I seen that, and it was weird. I was like, that tripped me out. After that, that scared me. Then I went to bed, and I was like, all right, started praying and stuff.
What color was it? Do you remember?
Yeah, it was white.
Okay.
It was like a really nice white. Like it almost looked like a giant pearl.
Size of a cantaloupe. Wow. How close to you did it get?
So it was probably about 20 feet.
Okay. Gotcha. In the area that this happened, has anyone else ever experienced anything weird?
Well, yeah, my sister said that in her bedroom she used to see hands appear on the mirror. When she said that, like in the closet on her, she had like the sliding door mirror closets, and she said that she would see hands appear on like handprints appear in the mirror. And I was like, dude, you're crazy. She goes, no, for real, that happened. I'm like, okay. And then she goes, come and look. And I would go look, and there was like these big handprints. And she's like probably like 4'8", 4'9", and tiny hands. And I was like, dude, those are like my size hands. She goes, yeah, dude, they just appeared. I'm like, where's that guy that you had? He goes, no, I don't have nobody here. I'm like, all right.
I was just thinking the same thing. I was like, unless there's like a guy hanging out in there, right? But
yeah,
that's so wild, man. Wow, so weird stuff happening in that residence.
Yeah, and that was in Hacienda Heights, California.
Wild stuff. You had also mentioned that ever since you've had these interactions with Bigfoot at different places, it has kind of affected you in different ways as well.
Yeah, so it affected me where I actually looked it up what it is, and it's like it's clairvoyancy. So where I can I can tell when someone's like being dishonest with me and stuff, and or like I can feel the vibe that like, yeah, I don't trust this person, you know. And I'll tell my son, hey, don't hang out with these kids because they're no good. Oh, Dad, you don't know. I'm like, yes, I do. Trust me. And then later on, he'll be like, hey, Dad, these kids got in trouble. I'm like, yeah, I know. I told you. He goes, how do you know? I'm like, I don't know. I just know. I told him because dads know everything.
Right. There you go. How soon after the encounters did that start to kick in?
You know, I think it started like it might have started right away, but I never paid attention to it like that. I always thought it was a coincidence. You know, I always thought, hey, that's kind of weird. I was like, that's a coincidence that happened, you know? So And finally I started like looking into it, like, and because I was talking to one of my friends, and she's a medium, and I told her, what's going on. She goes, oh yeah. She goes, because you're clairvoyant. I'm like, what do you mean? She goes, well, look it up. So I looked it up, and I said, holy cow, that makes sense now. So yeah, and the only thing that I tied this into it was the other night when someone was talking about he's seen the Bigfoots like a bunch of times, and then now he has like the same thing, like he could tell when people are lying and things like that, and I was like, whoa, that makes sense.
Yeah, it's it's a weird pattern that keeps coming up on the show where people will say, they have a sighting or an interaction, or they're even in the place where they're reported a lot, and then they'll start to have, almost like weird abilities. And I'm not really sure how to handle that myself. I just know that I keep talking to people and they keep saying stuff like that. But it's not just what you report. Sometimes there's, something like telepathy reported, or they start to hear, voices. I mean, it's just, or some kind of conversation with what is usually thought to be the Bigfoot. But it's very, very strange. Have you ever, is that something you've thought about? Like, why is it that this stuff kicks in, after someone has these interactions?
Yeah, to me, I think that, and when they kicked in was when I was in Yosemite, and I was standing there just watching it, and like I think we locked eyes or something, because like I was like I couldn't move, so I think something might have like I don't know, like triggered me or something like that, or it gave me that ability. But I think that's when it happened, because it was just like we just kept like looking at each other, and I think that after that, that's when I started noticing, like the coincidences that I used to say that was just that's just a coincidence, or I would say, oh, that's deja vu.
Right.
It's like I was like, whoa, I'm having a lot of deja vu. So that's kind of weird.
So when you were at Yosemite and there was a point before it walked away and you couldn't move, how long was that you weren't able to move for?
So it was like probably like whatever length of time it took to get from point A to point B was like seconds. Like I think it was like 3 to 5 seconds. And then after that, that's when like I said, it must have turned its head away and started heading up back into the forest, or up the hill that was there or something. Because after that, it just like it looked like the lights the lights turned off. The eyes turned off, so it must have just turned away. And then that's when I was like, I gotta get out of here. And then that's when I went to I didn't run. I just walked back to my chair in the campsite. And I sat down, and I just had the same, I guess I could say, like the same look that I had back in Sequoia. I probably had it in Yosemite, but it was probably more prevalent, maybe, because now I did see like some eyes. I didn't see a body, I didn't see nothing like that, but I just see some eyes. It's like really weird, like wow.
So when you were there frozen for a few seconds, was that before or after your cousins had been like, that's a Bigfoot, we're out of here, and they ran off?
Oh yeah, they ran off, and they're like, come on, let's go. And I couldn't talk. I just stood there. I was just like frozen right there with like I felt like I couldn't move.
Gotcha. So they left you there frozen. Got it.
Yeah.
Wow, that's so wild, man, because and actually I've experienced this myself, where when I was out in Oregon in July, and we were in an area, and I was literally frozen in a chair for a few minutes, and I couldn't even talk. And then it feels like all of a sudden, like someone snaps their fingers, and you're like, okay, I can talk again, right? It's very, very
it's weird.
Yeah. And there's people I've talked to before where I guess there's stories, Native American stories, where, you can be frozen, but also sometimes they can also control the way that you move. So they can, Henry Franzoni told me once, you can supposedly they can make you walk off a cliff if they wanted to, which is really wild stuff, right?
Right. Yeah. That's I heard that too, because I was like, and I've been thinking, like, man, if this, because I wasn't scared, I was just like more mesmerized than anything. So it must have been, I don't know, because I'm thinking that just like humans, there's good and bad. It must have been a good one, I don't know. It wasn't from the dark side. So yeah, but yeah, I wasn't scared or anything like that. But would I ever want to see another one? Probably not.
Gotcha. So you could live without having another encounter, it sounds like.
Yeah, I think I could, because I don't think I mean, if it happens, it happens. But I'm not. I'd rather not.
You're not actively going out and trying to have it happen, is what it sounds like.
No, but I would like to. It's kind of weird, because me and my son do want to go on an expedition one of these days. We don't know when, but he was like, "Hey, Dad, let's go on an expedition." I'm like, "Well, I'll think about it."
Well, I mean, that's the thing. It's like, it's such an interesting field, because half of the people are people that have generally had something happen and they're freaked out because it really does affect you. And then at the same time, when you have these people dealing with that, you always have new people coming into the field where they're like, this sounds awesome. I really want to get into this. This is super cool, and high-fiving. And you've got the old, or the people that experience something, they're like, be careful what you wish for. And then the cycle just continues, because the new people go out, they have something happen. Now they're like dealing with trauma, and it's just like a continual cycle for forever and ever. It's really, really interesting. Have you ever, thought about it in all the, you're listening to a lot of stuff, watching stuff, maybe reading stuff. Do you have any thoughts about what they might be out there, what Bigfoot actually is?
You know what? Yeah, I think it's. I have mixed feelings, because I heard people say they come out of portals and things like that. So I think it is kind of like a it has to be extraterrestrial or something, or because because there's no way that something that's like an animal. When an animal walks, it's bobs up and down and stuff. You see a dog walk, it bobs up and down. This doesn't bob up and down. It's steady. So it has to be something like not of this world. It has to be extraterrestrial, kind of like a predator type thing. Because I even heard people say that when they shine the light on that their fur reflects. So I'm like, man. So I think it's like extraterrestrial, probably.
Yeah, that's interesting. And the gliding is a really good point. I haven't heard any hypothesis yet of how that could happen if it was an actual, physical creature, and how it could glide so smoothly. I don't know if anyone has any examples of that in the natural world. I haven't been able to find any myself, but maybe someone will put a comment down or whatever, and we'll see what people can come up with. But It's a very, very interesting thing. The whole gliding thing is brought up over and over and over again.
Yeah. You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of back in the 80s when people used to moonwalk, when they used to break dance.
Oh, yeah.
That's what it reminds me of, like smooth like that. Just smooth.
Okay. Only not backwards, frontwards, right?
Only not backwards, yeah.
Interesting. It's another cool way to think about it. But Rudy, it's been fun chatting with you today. And thank you for sharing what you've experienced over the years. I want to make sure that you were able to share everything that you had in your mind for the show.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like I said, I'm still not sure what I seen because I can't say it was if it wasn't, but I seen something.
Absolutely. If you and your son ever do, end up going out camping in the future, if anything ever does happen, you're more than welcome to reach out. I would love to hear about it if that's something you would want to share.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, for sure. You'll be the first one I contact.
That's great. I appreciate you coming on the show, Rudy, and you have a great rest of your day, man.
You too. Thank you so much for having me.
Just wanted to take a minute to say thank you for listening to this episode of the Bigfoot Society podcast. Rudy's story stuck with me, not just because of what he saw standing by that lake, but because of what it stirred inside him. The dreams, the silence, and the transformation. Huge thanks to Rudy for sharing such personal, intense memories from Yosemite and Sequoia, and for reminding us that some encounters don't just leave footprints, they leave something behind in you. If you enjoyed this conversation, please subscribe to the channel on YouTube, hit the bell, so you don't miss any new episodes, and share this one with someone who's ever wondering what really happened in California's wild places. And if you're on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, make sure you're following the show. And if you could leave a review, it really helps new folks find us. And hey, if you or someone you know has had a Bigfoot encounter, especially in the Sierra Nevadas, San Bernardino Mountains, or anywhere in California, I would love to hear your story. Please shoot me an email at bigfootsociety@gmail.com. And also don't forget, Sasquatch Summerfest is coming up July 11th through the 12th at Green Waters Park in Oak Ridge, Oregon. Bigfoot Society listeners can get a 2-day pass for the price of a 1-day admission with code BFS at checkout. So grab your tickets now at www.sasquatchsummerfest.com. Thank you again for being part of the Bigfoot Society. Until next time, keep your eyes open, trust your gut, and never stop asking what else might be out there, and see you in the woods.